Teacher Union, Naptosa, says it's worried about the rising COVID-19 infections ahead of this year's matric exams. The union is opposed to the relaxation of any safety measures that, for example, may decrease social distancing in schools. Joining us now on the Midday View is Naptosa Executive Director Basil Manuel. Mr. Manuel, good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday View. I guess your concern for many parents would be viewed as well-placed, and also from health authorities, because I just played a bite just a short while ago from the Health Minister, Dr. Joe Phaahla, speaking earlier today, noting that there's been an increase in the number of people between the ages of 10 and 19 years old getting or contracting the coronavirus, particularly in the Northern Cape and the Western Cape, because schools have reopened and there's activities. I guess you would feel a little bit justified in your concern this hour.
Dan, good afternoon and thanks for inviting me. Yes, we are very concerned. Our concern at this time is with the trial exam, not the final matric exam. That's too far away, because this is the first time our matriculants will actually sit down and write a full-scale exam. Now, with so many learners falling ill, it is going to impact on their ability to actually sit for the trials, and that may impact on how they do in the final exam. In KZN, Eastern Cape, Western Cape, Northern Cape, we've seen many instances, and of course daily there are reports. Because it's a moving target, we don't always have the exact figures.
So if you're concerned, it's about the trial exams, and normally the trial exams are around September, in the past, yeah. So now, what is it how would you rather want them to be approached? With the concerns you've expressed, the numbers are agreeing with you that there is an increase in young people in school who are getting positive. Now, how would you want the situation to be handled?
Dan, we have very little in our arsenal. The only thing we really have is to ensure that the standard operating procedures are strictly enforced. That includes the social distancing. That is also, in addition, a call on parents to ensure that learners who are so easily infected, it would appear, and particularly because they are in their teens, that they are not going out, they are not partying, they are not doing the social things that is normal. And then, of course, we call on the departments also to ensure that they intervene timeously. We are having too many stories where infections happen in a school. There's a tardy approach, and then, of course, the infections spread. We are not calling for schools or exams to be suspended, not at all. What we are calling for is tighter control measures so that, in fact, the learners get that exercise that they need to prepare for the final exam.
And I'm sure you wouldn't want that suggested measure of reducing the distance to half a meter in schools to be implemented at this stage.
Dan, not at all. Our system just is not ready for that. Number one, infections are still far too high. Number two, we've got to look very carefully at what a half a meter means. A half a meter means no social distancing. That's the reality. I know, on the other hand, it means that we are going to stick with rotation, and that is not in the best interest either. However, we've got to go back to the drawing board, and we've got to look at solving the problem of the overcrowding in the short and long term. So no, Naptosa does not support the reduction of the social distancing norm to anything less than the 1 meter that we have now.
Okay, just to be clear, Naptosa is not advocating for a postponement of the preliminary matric exams coming up in September, but you are calling for government, as a health department, as education and schools, to make sure that all those precautionary measures are observed, and at home as well, parents do their part to make sure that their children are also adhering to the measures.
Exactly, Dan. We're certainly not calling for any suspension or stopping of anything. However, if we don't follow the protocol slavishly, it will be stopped by nature, by COVID-19, and there's very little anybody will be able to do about that. So let's now put shoulder to the wheel, Department of Health, Department of Education, and parents and schools, to ensure that this can happen safely.
Basil Manuel, thank you very much. He's, of course, the Executive Director of Teacher Union Naptosa.